hypothesis. Okay, apa yang life cycle hypothesis ni explain is that kita akan start dengan we start our life with zero income. Kita start dengan hidupan kita with zero incomes. So later we will have some incomes through salaries. So we have incomes. And later, next to when we have incomes, bila kita retire, of course, kita akan jadi zero income balik. Right. So, how many years that will we be in this phase? They say that this is a phase 1, yeah? P1, phase 1. So phase 1 say that is 25 years, which is the age from we were born until age 25, for instance. Sebab umur 25 tahun baru kita bekerja. So this one, the second one, we call it phase 2. Say that in phase 2 ni berapa lama kita spend? How long we will be spending our time in phase 2? So 25 years until 60 years. So how many years is that? We have 35 years. Okay, 35 tahun. And next one, after completing the working years, then we will experiencing retirement years. So during retirement years, we gonna have zero income back. Okay, kita back to zero income. So say that this is phase 3. So phase 3 say according to life expectancy, we will spend this for 15 years. Right. So kenapa insurance planning ni penting is that, but before that, this life cycle hypothesis states that in all the phases here, dalam semua fasa ni, all phases, we are aiming actually, tak kira lah apa tujuan hidup kita sekalipun, but then the basic one is that we gonna aim for consumption smoothing. Okay, maksudnya di sini is like when we want to consume or when we want to like do expenses, some expenses, so it can be smooth. The expenses tu like kita boleh smooth saja, kita tak perlu fikir ataupun sakit kepala sebab tak ada duit. So that is the reason kenapa during this time, of course, you have no money. Dekat sini you tak ada duit, tapi for consumption smoothing, you need to survive. You ada scholarship and PTPTN lah, PTPTN and etc, zakat etc. Okay, so that when during zero income here, you can survive. In other words, you can have consumption smoothing. Consumption smoothing here. Right? Okay. So, masuk kepada fasa second phase is when you are working, you will be working. So this one, of course lah, there will be no issues. Sebab apa? You will get your salaries. So in order to smooth the consumption, you must make sure that your salaries is more than your expenses. So this one, no issue. Okay, moving on to the next one. During retirement phase, this one is the most important one. Sebab apa? Sebab this one kita tak ada income and we don't have salary either. So here in this phase, we will be depending on the EPF. Okay. So the theory that we are going to learn today will be based on this cycle. Okay, kita ada cycle ni daripada zero income kepada ada income dan kepada tak ada zero income balik. So zero income to income, start pada sini, then back to zero income. So this is the cycle. So the theory that we are going to learn today is based on this scenario or based on this context. Kenapa lah ada? Based on this context, yeah, from zero income to other income and then back to zero income. So this is the cycle or life cycle lah, kita boleh, yeah, to put it simply, life cycle. So the theory, there will be more, banyaklah theories dekat sini, the theories including the market theories and whatsoever lah, banyak market theories and banyak lagi. Okay, the first one we have insurance planning, critical theoretical expansion. Before that, before we move on to critical theoretical expansion, so what does it mean by theory? Okay, theory ni maksudnya berbeza compared to assumption. Okay, assumption. When we talk about assumption, it is based on purely on our observations plus intuition. So if I can assume you guys today, contohnya hari ni I tengok you guys, okay, tak ada yang pakai face mask, so I assume that you are healthy, right? So that is assumption. But when it comes to theory, it must be supported with data plus research plus observation. Okay, so these are all the past. Okay, ini adalah semua yang pernah terjadi sebelum ni, past. So based on the past data, past research, past observation, there will be a theory. So what does this theory do? This theory akan explain current situation. Right. Okay, I give you one theory. Apa teori yang paling controversial at all times? Okay, contohnya theory of evolution. Okay, so what does the theory of evolution say? It explains that we evolved from apes. Okay, human was from ape. Okay, daripada monyet. So Darwin ni, okay, dia kata he claimed that he had the data, he did research, and he observed that he concluded that human was from the ape. Okay, manusia ni daripada ape. But again, a theory, apa guna theory ni? Theory ni is used to explain current situation. Right. So current situation, are there currently apes evolving into a human? Sekarang ni ada lagi ke apes yang jadi human? Dah tak ada. So that is the reason why some of the theories are not reliable. Okay, tak semua teori itu betul. Okay, some of the theories are not reliable. So that is really, for in the case that, okay, the TikTokers mention that, okay, dekat universiti ni kita just belajar teori sahaja, kita tak belajar application. Apa? Sebab apa? Sebab kita belajar data. We learn past data. Dan data ni based on the research, guna research and observation. Then the theory. So the theory ni later you will go to internship. Then you can explain with the current situation you will be having in the internship ni, during internship. Dia orang yang kata dah just belajar through practical sahaja. Yes, dia face on the current situation. Dia belajar through current situation sahaja, right? Tapi teori ni is like underlying punya basics lah. So tak ada teori, just belajar practical sahaja. So that is the reason why semua orang nak bercakap, right? Tak ada teori tapi semua nak bercakap, right? So by right, you nanti bila dah keluar, you dah ada teori, and practically you do internship, so that nanti you boleh explain the theory that you have learned to current situation. So that is theory, ya. I nak you faham tentang teori. Okay, so back to insurance planning. Insurance planning is not only a technical exercise of matching risk with financial instruments, it is also social, economic and institutional phenomenon. So, insurance planning ni, kalau ikutkan kita punya Kementerian Pelajaran Tinggi, okay, this one is considered as, is not just a theory, tapi kita consider this as, dia punya istilah dia this, lifelong learning skills. The reason is that the skill ni you boleh guna for the whole life, even though later you tak bekerja dalam bahagian insurans sekalipun, tapi since this is lifelong learning skills, dia macam fundamental. Skill ini adalah skill fundamental, right? So you akan guna this skill for the whole life, untuk sepanjang hidup you, right? Okay, so insurance planning is a social, economic and institutional phenomenon. So since this is a lifelong learning skills, so KPT expect you to, after you graduate, okay, after you graduate, then you will become individual with good financial literacy. Okay, the reason is that this good financial literacy ni will constitute or will contribute to good society or society with a good financial literacy. And next, it can contribute to our better economic growth, and our institution can perform or can operate optimally, right? So it start with us. Okay, contohnya dia akan bermula dengan kita lah, so that kita nanti akan jadi individu yang ada financial literacy yang okay. So how to determine if someone has this good financial literacy ni? Antaranya is through insurance planning. The one that have mindset that insurance is not a cheater, right? So that's why insurance planning is not only a technical exercise. Dia bukanlah just modeling mathematics semata-mata, but then it involves a societal, economic and institutional phenomenon. So a critical theoretical view examines how insurance shape individual behavior, redistributes risk, influence economic stability, and embeds itself within social norms and regulatory structures. Insurance exists because individuals are risk averse, markets are incomplete, and uncertainty has financial consequences. But critical perspective highlights deeper points. Okay, so ini adalah just like introduction lah. Okay, The first theory that we are going to learn today is market incompleteness theory. So, market incompleteness theory. So, what does it mean by market here? Apa maksud market kat sini? Anyone know? So, incompleteness, we know that the market is not perfect. There will be some drawbacks, or there will be some lag lah. Akan ada lag like inflation and whatsoever. So this one is, we know that market tak perfect. Okay, so the theory we have learned just the theory just now. So what does it mean by market here? Apa maksud market ni? Anyone? Apa maksud market? So by definition, market is just a platform. Platform untuk apa? Platform to buy and sell. But then, to be exact, what is the definition in this context? Apa maksud market kat sini ni? So, in real world, markets do not naturally provide perfect instrument to safeguard individuals from all risks. Insurance arises to fill this gap. Okay guys, dalam market, right? Dalam market, so we know that market is a platform to buy and sell. Of course, when it comes to buying and selling, it will involve money, right? So, bila melibatkan duit, there will be, since this is not like a gold yang tak ada, that will not affected by inflation, but then money, of course lah, dia akan affected by inflation. So this is one kind of risk that annuity can provide, or annuity can cover, right? So this is the reason also that market ni tak perfect, right? Sebab apa? Sebab since we are using this, and these are prone to exposed with some risk. Contohnya, risk of inflation. So how do we counter this? We have insurance and also annuities, right? Apa contoh kalau market ni is a complete theory? Market is complete. Okay, kalau market ni is something that is perfect, it's not complete lah, it's perfect. So we do not have this kind of issues. Contohnya inflation ataupun inflation, atau lagi apa ni, money exchange rate issues, exchange rate risk, for example. So we do not have this kind of issues, right? Kalaulah market we are in right now is perfect, tapi in theory market ni sebenarnya tak perfect. Sebab banyak risiko yang ada dalam market ni. Contohnya inflation risk. So, insurance planning becomes a mechanism through which private instrument or takaful risk sharing step in where the state or market fails to offer protection. Right? Okay. Market is incomplete or incompleteness. Right. So, social risk transfer perspective. So, macam mana kita nak counter this problem is through risk transfer. Insurance is part of society's broader system of managing uncertainty, and it redistributes the cost of individual misfortune across a community. Insurance system can reinforce inequality when coverage is tied to income, affordability, or employment. Wealthier household can purchase better risk protection, widening long-term financial disparities. So this one macam mana is like just explanation how insurance work. Okay, so macam mana kita nak counter this market incompleteness theory ni? One of that is insurance planning. So this is insurance planning lah. Macam mana kita nak plan the insurance is that by right, the one who earn more, okay, the one who earns more, wealthier household, should can purchase better risk protection or widening long-term financial disparities. Alright, okay. First we have learned about market incompleteness theory. Right. The second thing is that behavioral critique. Right. So, dalam market ni, kita bukannya AI. Just beli ataupun jual and finish. Buy, sell, finish. Okay, by right macam ni lah kalau ikutkan sistem dia. This is how system work. Tapi we are not AI. We are not a robot. Kita bukan robot. Right? Kalau ikutkan, yes, by right, kita just follow this sahaja. Buy, sell, then finish. Right? So this is what we call it dalam behavioral critique ni adalah rational decision making. Okay, rational decision making. So our decision making is based on logic sahaja. But we are human, we are not AI, we are not a robot. Kita akan ada juga what we call it emotion. Right? Kita akan ada emotion. So, when it comes to emotion, ini yang masalah. This is a big problem. When it comes to emotion, yes. Tapi, kalau ikutkan, semua orang nak rational decision making ni. Right? Tapi at the same time, we need to have emotion also. Contohnya hari ni, saya dapat tengok yang ramai tak pakai necktie. By right, kalau ikutkan tak pakai necktie, you kena keluar daripada lecture hall ni. Right? You kena keluar je. Sebab apa? Sebab our rules by UM, the rules by UM is that students need to wear a necktie. Sama juga dengan saya pakai necktie. Tapi kalau you jumpa saya dekat luar, saya tak pakai necktie. Right? So, by right, kalau ikutkan rational punya decision making, this one is by law punya. So that's it lah, you keluar lah. Tapi, since saya bukan robot and I have emotion, of course there will be some kita panggil ni sympathy lah, ataupun sympathy lah. Okay. So on top of logic thinking, kita juga ada emotion. Tapi when it comes to emotion, akan ada sympathy is a good thing, tapi akan ada isu juga. Sebab apa? When it comes to insurance planning, bila dah masuk emotion ni dalam insurance planning, okay, before that, by right, semua orang, everyone in Malaysia or everybody in Malaysia should have insurance policy. Sebab apa? We know that the fact that insurance can protect against fortuitous losses. Okay, fortuitous losses. Right, anything that is random or randomly happen, losses that randomly happen. Okay, by right, sebab apa? Sebab fakta ni macam tu. So, semua orang sepatutnya ambil lah. Sebab apa? Sebab insurance ni is not a cheater. So, bila that policy holder dies, akan dapat benefit. Right. So, teori ni macam ni lah. Okay, teorinya insurance akan provide coverage. So, bila meninggal akan dapat death benefit. So, ini teori. Okay, teori macam ni. Tapi when it comes to emotion, bila tambah emotion dalam ni, so sepatutnya rational decision making that everyone in Malaysia should have life insurance, tapi when it comes to emotion, dia akan jadi like overconfidence. This is the reason why this is the reason why emotion ni dia tak semestinya like it's a good thing in rational decision making. Right, so macam mana bila dia overconfidence, they don't need or they don't buy insurance. Dia tak beli insurance. No insurance. Okay. Other reason is that denial of mortality. Dia tahu dia akan meninggal, dia tahu dia akan die someday, tapi dia seolah-olah tak nak discuss on that matter. Right? So this is when emotion comes in. So behavioral critic ni explain this kind of theory lah, explain this kind of situation. Sepatutnya logically kenapa tak nak ambil, tak nak someone contohnya tak nak buy life insurance sebab emosi, right? Tapi kalau ikutkan according to rational decision making, there is no reason that someone who is healthy refuse to sign up a life insurance policy, for example. So ini adalah behavioral critic. Right. Okay, moving on to the next one, institutional theory. So institutional theory, our institutions or our insurance institution or takaful institution in Malaysia, it must follow legal system, corporate governance, financial regulators, our cultural norms, religious principle, for example, avoid gharar and riba. And insurance planning must reconcile an institutional demand with personal goals, demonstrating its role as an institutionalized practice rather than purely individual choice. So this one like straightforward lah, tak ada apa. Alright, okay. Personal financial planning. Personal insurance planning reflects how individuals manage risks across their financial life cycle. A critic lens highlight the tensions between rational and real world constraints. Okay, life cycle ni is the one that I explained at the beginning of lecture just now. Ini life cycle, right? Ini life cycle ni, life cycle hypothesis ni. So financial life cycle maksudnya, it means that we manage risk dalam setiap cycle tu. Right, from zero income to we have some income, back to zero income, we manage risk. We need to manage risk in each phases of our life. So sekarang ni say that you are in the phase 1, for example, you tak ada income. So how do you manage risk? Macam mana? For example, kalau lah you ada scholarship. Scholarship berapa dapat satu semester? 3,000, 6,000. Berapa dapat scholarship? Siapa scholarship apa ni, bank rakyat tu? 6,000 kan? Dia dapat scholarship? Scholarship apa? Marah, berapa marah? Total, no, satu semester saja. 800 sebulan? Oh, banyak, 800 sebulan banyak. Okay, you case lain. Okay, mana lagi yang dapat scholarship? JPA berapa? 5,000. Okay, 5,000. Tolak dengan yuran 1,000 berapa? 1,100, 1,400. Ada 3,600 lagi balance. Wow. So how do you manage this so that this money can last for a semester, for example? How do you manage this? Contohnya you belanja, you allocate lah every week, for example, berapa you nak kena spend. Right, so 3,600 banyak ni. About you 800 kali dengan 3,200. Okay, so insurance planning, personal insurance planning reflect how individual manage risk across their financial life cycle. Okay, life cycle yang tadi ya. A critical lens highlight the tensions between rational planning and real world constraint. So rational planning, just I explain, by right, this straightforward saja. You tak cukup, you have risk, you ada risk, you apply for insurance. Itu saja rational thinking dia. But then in real world constraint, when it comes to emotion, things doesn't go, things do not go the way it is. Okay, sebab apa? Sebab kita ada emotions. Alright, so life cycle hypothesis states that the individual smooths consumption over time. Insurance supports this by preventing catastrophic consumption drop. Right, okay. Theoretically, kita akan like bersara. Okay, start dengan, for example age 25, you start kerja and sampailah age 60. Right, so lepas age 60 ni, dies at age 75. D here. So this is the theory Ini adalah teori. Right, sepatutnya jadi macam ni. Supposedly this to happen. Tapi, right, again, teori ni dia tak boleh, it cannot explain every single aspect of our life. Okay, sebab apa? Sebab teori ni based on past data, past observation, and daripada ni kita buat research, so that normally, so generally, people die at age 75. Tapi in real life, these are not surely to happen. This does not necessarily happen, right? So macam mana kita nak counter this kind of life cycle theory ini macam mana kita nak jayakan ni? We want to make sure that this happen the way it is that through insurance. Okay, to be exact, insurance planning, so that from age 25 until age 75, again, our aim is to have smooth the consumption. Okay, right? Kalau in case that a person dia tak ada insurance tapi dia die at age 75 and they can do the consumption smoothing, so that is like kita boleh kata yang itu adalah case lucky lah, right? Kalau tak ada insurance planning tapi still survive until age 75 and have consumption smoothing, so that is lucky, pure lucky. Memang betul-betul luck lah, Tuhan bagi betul-betul lucky, right? So but then okay, kita tak nak deny for the luck itself, so that's why we need to manage the risk. Okay, so that risk tu akan tukar kepada luck, right? So we need to manage risk through insurance planning. So insurance support this preventing catastrophic consumption drop. Again, the word here is consumption. Our aim is consumption smoothing. So we do not want along the way here akan ada consumption drop. Contohnya you dah comfortable with RM 5k income per month, right? So you spend, for example, 5k per month, but then due to some incident happen, and later on you need to spend just RM1K per month. Daripada RM5,000 ni, macam mana you nak drop untuk survive dengan RM1,000 sahaja sebulan? So this is not consumption smoothing. So or in other words, we call it consumption drops. Right? So our aim again is consumption smoothing. So most people do not behave according to life cycle model due to liquidity constraint, low financial literacy, and unstable incomes. Insurance planning is therefore a corrective mechanism, not a natural behavior. Okay? So that is life cycle theory lah. So in order to make sure that life cycle theory goes as planned, so we need to have risk management. So one of the risk management is risk financing. So risk financing, one of the risk financing is adalah insurance, to buy insurance. Okay, next one, human capital theory and power structures. Insurance ni, by right, it protects human capital. Okay, insurance, again, it protect human capital. So human capital, this one termasuk juga the properties of human capital. Contohnya kereta, rumah, and other properties lah, like business. But human capital itself is shaped by labor markets, education access, and social inequalities. Right? Kita nak protect this. We want to protect this human capital, modal insan. But then it depends back to basic. Okay, back to basic sebenarnya adalah human capital ni yang paling penting. Kenapa? Human capital ni the one that generate economic stability, right? Human capital ni. So kita tak nak protect, the main thing is that insurance ni, kenapa insurance ni penting? Sebab dia protect human capital. This human capital yang akan generate economic stability. Tapi this human capital, in case that we have human capital that is not so professional ataupun have low educational level and social inequalities ni, social qualities pun tak not so good. But then so what is the point that we want to cover to have protection for human capital? Right? So human capital here refers to the one that have good, the good quality of life lah. So human capital theory says that lower income individual face higher mortality and morbidity, but have the least access to adequate protection. Insurance become both a financial tool and reflection of structural equality. Right? So in other words, I can say that human capital ni adalah power structure of a country. Sebab tu human capital is the important one in this case is important one dalam isu ini, right? Sebab apa? Sebab ia adalah power structure kepada satu-satu negara. Okay, next one, behavioral finance perspective. People under-insure because the presence of bias, optimism bias, and difficulty imagining future risk. Right, so under-insure, so kita dah belajar tentang under-insurance ni. Sepatutnya dia ada, let's say that they have protection for 1 million, but then they just have protection for 200k, for example. So under-insurance, the reason is that they have bias. Apa bias yang paling obvious yang you pernah dapat? Kenapa orang tak nak ambil takaful ataupun insurance? Agents, apa bias yang paling common? Overconfidence, right? Overconfidence. Lagi, dia rasa apa? Sebab dia rasa he is profit. So this one also optimism. And difficulty imagining future risk. So this one again back to our CLO ataupun course, which is financial literacy. Dia tak ada capacity untuk manage dia punya income, for example. So personal insurance planning is as much as about behavioral coaching and expectation management as it is about product selection. Okay, next one, we have cultural and ethical perspective. Perception of insurance depend on cultural belief about faith, family, responsibility or religious compliance. So, in case that ada satu culture yang kata, okay, apa yang jadi-jadilah, sebab apa? Sebab itu is a faith from God. Okay, so they just like accept what it is. Dia just redha sahaja. Still, we have that kind of culture in Malaysia. Or family responsibility says that the family is, have sandwich family, for example, then they have like expenses tu dah terlalu tinggi, so they do not have allocation to buy insurance. So that one also becomes a one perception lah, dependent. And last one, religious compliance, and say that okay, insurance is prohibited in Islam, but then takaful also does the same. They say that takaful is just similar to insurance, so takaful is also prohibited. So end up dia tak beli, dia tak purchase any kind of protection. So in Islamic context, some distrust insurance due to conventional contracts, prohibitions, elements. Takaful mitigates this tension by reframing risk pooling as a cooperative solidarity. Alright, retirement planning. Retirement planning introduces intertemporary risk analysis and institutional critique. Okay, dalam retirement planning ni, there are certain risks that we will be facing dalam retirement planning. Okay, contohnya apa? We have the first one is longevity risk. So individual cannot self-insure longevity risk effectively. Insurance takaful is necessary because risk pools benefit from the law of large numbers. Society increasingly shift retirement responsibility from public pension system to individual, raising the inequality insurance for becomes a substitute for a weakening state support. Right, okay. Now, just for the first session just now, okay, kita dah belajar on insurance planning. Kenapa penting insurance planning ni? Sebabkan oleh we have a few theories. Okay, contohnya theories is market is complete, is market incompleteness theory. Incompleteness theory, right? And we have behavioral critique. Behavioral critique. And last one, how does insurance company provide the goals is to make sure that life cycle hypothesis can be done the way it is, right? So this is the planning, okay? Ini adalah planning. So this planning is to prepare what will come later. This retirement planning, okay? So later retirement planning. Alright, so dalam untuk retirement planning ni, there will be like intertemporal risk analysis. Okay, so maksudnya dekat sini, dalam retirement planning, there will be some specific risk that yang tak ada dalam working years. Okay, kita like ada study, you ada studying years. Okay, contohnya studying years, you start daripada 5 years old sampailah 24 years old. Working years, Working years start daripada umur 25 sampai umur 60 for example. And retirement years sampai daripada umur 61 sampailah umur 75. So, risk analysis ni, temporary risk analysis ni, ada risiko yang tak ada masa this tu, tapi it exists only during this phase only. Okay, ini adalah intertemporal risk. So we need to do some analysis. Okay, tak adalah analysis data whatsoever, tapi just we learn theoretically apa risiko yang ada specifically masa retirement ni. Contohnya adalah the first one, longevity risk. Right? So longevity risk adalah you know that this risk refers to the risk that kita kehabisan retirement wealth before we die. Okay, ataupun sama juga longevity risk ni by right, dia tak ada satu definition yang spesifik. So it can be defined as live longer than expected, that retirement wealth can support expenses. Right? So basically longevity risk is kita hidup lama then the EPF tak support the expenses, tak boleh nak support the expenses. So individual cannot insure longevity risk effectively, right? And how do we do so, or how do we prevent this or longevity risk to happen? Is that through insurance or takaful is necessary because risk pool benefits from the law of large numbers. Right, society increasingly shift retirement responsibility from public pension system to individuals, raising inequality. Right, so we know that sistem pencen kerajaan dah tak ada, so indirectly pencen dah move kepada individual, meaning to say that daripada sistem pencen go to EPF. So EPF ni individuals yang perlu contribute ataupun perlu mencarong. But then for public pension, this one tak perlu mencarong pun, tapi akan dapat the benefits more than the EPF. So this is the liability to any countries in the world right now, public pension system, Right, so raising inequality, insurance become a substitute for weakening state support. Okay, next one, we have dependency theory. Alright, our current life expectancy sekarang ni, kalau untuk male adalah 75 tahun and female is 78 years old, right? So this is expected, expected. Tapi moving on to 2060, I think ini akan naik lagi. Of course lah, ini akan naik lagi. This life expectancy ini akan naik lagi. Says that 80 tahun untuk male, maybe 82 years for female. Right, okay. This one, okay, contohnya untuk 80 tahun for the case that someone survive until age of 60 or until age of 80. And age of 82 years old. Of course lah, waktu ni EPF dah habis lah. EPF gone, clean, habis, licin. Right, so macam mana dia nak survive ni until age 80 dengan age 82 ni? Is through family support. Right, so that is the reason why kita dah start jadi sandwich generation. So as population age, healthcare and long-term care demands grow. Insurance planning is not only financial preparations but a reaction to demographic transitions. Systemic pressures such as aging populations make retirement insurance essential, not optional. Okay, so macam mana nak counter this kind of issues? Dependency theory ni, by right dependency theory ni is a theory that bila dah lanjut umur, okay, when it comes to longevity, the one that is support these parents adalah family. Okay, teori dia macam tu. Family akan support. So this one, in other words, we can say that is our cultural norms. Sepatutnya kita yang akan jaga parents kita. Tapi again, tak semua anak yang sanggup to do this, right? So macam mana kita nak counter this issue is through long-term care. Long-term care insurance. Okay. Okay everyone, I think that's it for today. Pening lah pasal teori. Okay, I nak is saya punya kepala jap. Jom kita tengok acting jap. Right, siapa acting? Jom. We have some time. Okay.